I was dumbfounded when I heard this message about the 4 kingdom keys to becoming a Christian billionaire and succeeding in life. Here is the truth. You can never change your mind if you lack a new revelation to your existing ideas. Let me share this life-changing message inspired by Dr. Myles Munroe to give you a new perspective. We are all going through a crisis. Sadly, some will lose their capacity to generate income and sustain their livelihood. But what's worth noting is that seeds of faith are always within us, and it sometimes takes a crisis to nourish and encourage their growth. But God instructs us in Genesis 1:26. I have dominion over the earth and everything in it. But what is this dominion that the scriptures are talking about? Watch what God says in verse 28, Genesis 1:28. He declares, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it." So dominion is being fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue. Those 4 elements are the 4 keys to becoming a Christian billionaire and prospering in life according to Dr. Myles Munroe. But before that, if you are new here, consider subscribing to this channel to continue receiving great videos like this. Also check the description below for some excellent resources that will change your life from good to the life you deserve. Now let's break everything down. The first key in God's management program is fruitful. Being fruitful doesn't mean having many children. No, this misconception has deviated us from the real message. If it were so, then Abraham failed terribly, given that he only had Isaac as his only legitimate heir. Being fruitful doesn't mean being seedful either, as seeds precede every fruit. Actually, the word fruitfulness means productivity. So God is instructing you to produce. Poverty is not the lack of means, but the absence of self-production. The church is not poor because it doesn't have resources, but because it is non-productive and lacks creativity. So being fruitful also means being creative, as creativity begets productivity. Remember, God did not give Abraham a chair, but he hid it in trees. He didn't give us cars and speed machines, but he hid them in oil. He also didn't give us shoes, but he hid them in cows. And neither did he give us buildings, but he hid them in the dirt. So it is upon us to become creative. There is no crisis as we know it to be, but just the crisis of creativity. As a result, it's only those who are creative that can succeed. Remember, however, that God never demands anything that He doesn't provide for. Whatever God commands us to do, He equips us to do. And according to Genesis 1:28, He is instructing us to be fruitful because He has put the seeds in us. Circumstances and crises are God's tools to move you into your purpose and the maximizing of your potential. The journey, however, starts with first becoming productive. Come up with a product, a business idea, or just anything that will define you and put you up for success. You already have the seed of greatness in you, and the only thing remaining is turning the seeds into a fruit. So be fruitful. Dominion starts with being productive, and it's not about having a lot of resources, but being creative enough to use what is available. It is not just enough to have a good product if you cannot make it big. You have to multiply it, which in other words mean to replenish it as God instructs us in Genesis 1:26. Let's take McDonald's for an example. The fast food company is known for its Big Mac burger, which is sold globally. No matter where you are in the world, you cannot get a burger like Big Mac unless you get it from a McDonald's outlet. What McDonald's has done is to multiply their product, which in other words mean they reproduce. Today, McDonald's makes about 1 billion Big Macs every month in all of their outlets globally. So far, the American food brand has more than 38,695 restaurants in different parts of the world. So if the church can borrow from McDonald's and other brands alike, we can be successful. Today's church is broke, not just because it is not productive, but also because the congregation is satisfied with being fruitful. Sadly, that's not a rich man's mentality. You have to multiply what you have and do it over and over again. What you cannot reproduce will die. That's how things on earth are. You must decide if you are going to rob the world or bless it with rich, valuable, potent, untapped resources locked away within you. And if you choose to bless the world, you have to start reproducing. You must increase what you reproduce. Successful people always have more of what they can offer, and they perpetually produce to satisfy the market. The third key in God's management program is to replenish, which means to distribute. Nothing destroys a product faster than dead inventory. God wants the church to grow globally and spread the good news. How do you distribute your product to the world? You start by creating a strong marketing strategy, targeting your global audience to fulfill their needs. God's ideas are always business ideas, and that makes a man a business manager. So as a business manager, you have the obligation of getting your product far and wide by all means possible. The reality check is that you can have the best product globally and still die of starvation if you cannot distribute it and make money from it. The world needs to know about your product or brand. For that to happen, you have to effectively distribute it. The last key to becoming a Christian billionaire is to subdue the market. Subdue means to dominate. Bill Gates became the wealthiest person on earth because he subdued the market. He produced Microsoft, reproduced it, replenished it, and eventually subdued the computer market. He did that so well that the government saw him as a threat. Jeff Bezos is currently the wealthiest person in the world because he subdued the e-commerce market. Elon Musk is the second richest person because he has subdued the electric car market. Mark Zuckerberg is the fifth richest person in the world because he has subdued the social media sector. I could go on and on, but the bottom line is that you must control the market to become a billionaire. The good thing about subduing the market is that you dictate the terms. Remember, the value of life is not in the duration, but its donation. You're not important because of how long you'll live, but how effective you live. There is no experience when it comes to being successful. So, if you manage to be effective in your line, you'll subdue the market no matter the duration. People generally fall into one of these three groups: the few who make things happen, the many who watch things happen, and the overwhelming majority who have no notion of what happens. So, where do you belong? Successful people belong in the category of those who make things happen, and that's called to subdue. You were born to lead, but you have to become a leader. That's what Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and other top billionaires are doing in their industry line. The culmination of God's management program is to subdue. You have to control and own the market to be successful. What are you doing with your gift? God says in Genesis 1:28 that if we become fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue, then we will have dominion, and dominion equals success. Dominion is not a pursuit, but a result. Here is another excellent video for you. 10 Laws of Success by Dr. Myles Munroe. Until next time, take care.